All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another NSL live talk. We are in the new year. It is 2021 in January, and I think it's the 13th, if I have that right. It could be different though, because this time we have the most complicated NSL live talk, the Coaches Corner, than as we have ever had, because people are in very different locations. Let's get to that. Let's start with that. I'm, as usual, as everybody knows now, in the NSL TV studio in Deerland, Florida. Joey on the top left. Joey Jones, where are you?
Morning.
Where are you?
I'm in Texas.
Yeah, there we go. So that's already different than Florida, at least 1 hour different. So Joey is 1 hour behind, actually. So he's the early bird in this Coaches Corner session. Thanks for doing that, Joey. And David on the growls on the bottom left. Where are you? And what's the time for you?
It's 4 o'clock. I'm in Belgium at home, and it's close to getting dark.
Yeah. And then we also have Mr. Gary Smith, and he's way further away even. Mr. Gary, where are you this time?
Yeah, I'm in Qatar. I'm in Doha. I'm sitting in a hotel room in a quarantine, mandatory quarantine. I cannot leave the hotel room for, it could be 7 days. I hope not. But yes, so here it's 6 p.m. and it's already dark.
Well, good for us if you cannot go anywhere, because then we can have you here on the computer as long as But to the audience, you can imagine that it was not easy to coordinate. Well, I have to take that back. It would be challenging to coordinate this Coaches Corner, but you know, we are pros with that, getting together, and it took just a few WhatsApp, and all of a sudden we had it together within half an hour. Thank you for that. I mean, thank you for doing that again anyway. And I have some good news. You know what? This thing has become much more popular than I ever thought. There are almost 10 people watching that now for sure. I'm just kidding. There are a few more than 10 people. But there has been a lot of great feedback, you know, for this, what we have been doing. And thanks to you and credit to you. Now, especially with the Cloud Mondial, the NSL Cloud Mondial, it was greatly appreciated by the audience. And I'm sure you have heard about that too. I can easily see that people go to you. And did you get feedback?
As I've been canceling all my work this spring, people are very happy for these conversations. So when I call my teammates and say, sorry, we can't train in February, they're like, I know, that's all right. But hey, great interview with Kurt. So yes, I'm getting feedback about how good these interviews have been while we talk about canceling everything that's coming up.
Great. And I hear that left and right, you know, so people are really, and of course, I'm glad that somebody likes it, what we're doing here. So I would like to begin, of course, first of all, with wishing everybody a Happy New Year, and hoping that we will soon see each other live somewhere. And then also congratulations to David. David is a new father.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My second daughter. 2 more and I can start a female team.
And is she a 2020 baby or a 2021 baby?
The 4th of January in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's actually, well, whatever, you know, it could be, we could say it's good news, but it's just whatever. It's just a birth date, right? So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That was great news. And family is growing. Are you done now, or are you trying for boys?
No, it's done, completely done. I think otherwise I need to change car. I need to build extra rooms in the house. No, we're totally done. Also, Kim said during the labor, this is the last one, so I'm not gonna ask her to do that one.
So the Growls family, the next generation of four-way competitors like Andy and David, we're working on that. You have a two-way so far only, right?
Well, the good thing is that Bob also has 2 girls, so we can already start that all-female lineup. The bad thing is I still need to wait 16 years, but I can save in the meantime. So
16. So they are 16. The oldest is 16 years old. Bob's?
No, but I have to wait 16 years until the younger.
Oh, yeah. How old are Bob's?
I think about. I think she's already 7 and 4. I think in that
Okay.
range.
Well, that's
4,
that's
7 and 4.
not too old to form a team together.
Yeah.
We have age differences in the sport.
But the ones from Bob can already start freestyling.
Are they?
No, they can start that. But I don't think that they're very into wind tunnels or skydiving at the moment. They don't seem to be like very enthusiastic when Bob is flying. So I'm not sure if they. I think they rather do gymnastic and horse riding than skydiving. But that might change. You never know.
So we are in the middle of the next NSL Cloud Mondial, the one from January. I have to say, in all honesty, that I am not really expecting that much this month because the whole world is pretty much locked down. So, I mean, teams are active here. There's training in the US and people can travel and there's indoor-outdoor activities and training. But the rest of the world doesn't seem to have too much, even in their own countries. It's very difficult to do something. Do I see that correctly, or do you have other countries like the United States where you can almost do everything that you want?
Yeah, I think in Europe very much so. I mean, Dave can speak from the Belgium point of view. They've in total lockdown. The military, the Belgian military, don't allow them to travel because they don't see anything as essential, and that's the biggest thing here in Europe. So yes, I think all European teams are on lockdown. I know the French tunnel, Wembley, is open, and there are teams going there. There are people going there. In fact, the Qatar 8-way there is there right now training with Jeremy. And the 4-way, we have a SISM competition here in Doha, and that's why I've come here for this competition. But unfortunately, we knew it ahead that I have to go into a lockdown for 7 days quarantine. And then when we come out of here, I don't know how much we're going to get jumping because it's SISM, it's accuracy, it's everything. So it's not a great training camp, but it's better than nothing, I guess.
So between France and Qatar, we may even get something for January. Who knows? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And US, US, France, Qatar, maybe we'll have some, because you can do it on your home turf, with a Cloud Mondial. So possibly.
Yeah, but with the French, the weathers, they're only indoors. So
indoor. Yeah.
If
we
they
have
can do
outdoor
it
this time.
Indoor, yes, for sure. There is something with Qatar. Hopefully, if we allowed to, if we can try and make those jumps. But if I look at the draw, it's not a great draw to start off a training camp.
Well, that's what I wanted to get to. We have at least a competition draw, whether it will be used somehow or not. But we do have a competition draw, and it would bring us to the topic that we touched last time.
Sorry, excuse me. I just had somebody bringing me some food. I get my food delivered to the door.
Okay.
No, that's good. Thank you.
That's your meal.
I guess that's a normal thing these days anyway.
In a packet.
Food delivered.
Here's my dinner.
Breakfast? Oh, it's dinner. Yeah, dinner.
Yeah.
Oh. Not breakfast. Joey has breakfast. Gary has dinner.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. Anyhow, so we'll get to that topic anyway. For engineering and competition draw and all that kind of stuff, whether we'll get some indoor or outdoor videos in January or not. Of course, we are all hoping that we'll see something, and we have something to talk about. But before we go into the presents, it was kind of funny. Now I cannot get rid of Joey and Gary at any time in my NSR news world, because whatever I write about, whatever I find as topics, somehow you'll come back to it. So I went as far as I could. Actually, yesterday, I haven't pulled out something from the archives in a while, even though there isn't really much happening, but there were enough topics of things going on. But yesterday I went back into the archives and posted something, and it was as far back as it can be on the NSL. history. It
Good
was
for
in
our age, eh?
1990. Did somebody read it already? No.
I haven't.
I haven't.
Okay, so it's from 1998.
Yes, I see it. I see it now.
Yeah. So it was about the NSL Championship and Genesis, and or the Midwest Skydiving League was in the making. So those two stories from December 1998 or so. And I'm writing it up. And who do I see? Well, NSL Championship, Joey Jones with his Space Center FX, Gary Smith with Optic Nerve.
Oh man.
How do I find something where you're not a part of? Interesting.
We averaged 2.1, huh? Oh, we only did one round. I see it now.
Yeah, what a team that was. Plasma team. So give us a quick. Give us a little
backfly team did better than 2.1 average.
Yeah, give us a little insight into back into that where we were and as far back as far. It's not back to your beginning of your skydiving and team careers, but it's back to the beginning of the NSL history and the NSL archives. So Joey, 1998, you were in Florida at the Space
1998, Center. I was in Florida at Space Center with FX with Don English and Doug Park, Christopher Irwin, and Skydive Space Center was trying to make a push. They had some sky surfers there, and they were just trying to take some of that Florida market, and we ended up winning the World Cup in a jump off against the French because airspeed didn't show up. But that was a super fun competition. Dawn was the first woman to win a Category 1 event, first female to win a Category 1 medal in 1998. It was also the first year that the women's category was held. My wife won with the Swedish women team, won the female category that year.
Can you introduce us to your wife, or is she still sleeping? She's
sleeping. She gave you one of these from the bed over there. She's there in spirit, but she's not presentable for the NSL at the
moment. I would like to hear her story of 1998 of the Women's World Cup, but I guess we have to save that for another NSL.
We can get her on here one time, maybe not today, but with some plans. She would love to talk about the history. I mean, she was part of making that event happen, writing letters, and she was very active based on some of her experiences with glass ceiling, boys club, whatever you might want to call what skydiving used to be. And she's got some great stories about it. She'd love to come on here probably and just share her experiences of the beginnings of the female category. So maybe we can put that on talk about it afterwards.
Mm-hmm. That was also the year when the wind tunnel in Orlando was built, right? So you spent a lot of time there too.
I lost you there for a moment.
That was also the year when the wind tunnel in Orlando was built, the first SkyVenture wind tunnel.
Yes, we didn't. That opened up late 1998. It was after the World Cup. That was one of those very lucky outlier situations for myself anyway, and most of us in Florida, to have come home as World Cup champion and have a wind tunnel open up in your backyard was very fortuitous for my career for sure. Because Doug and I were very active in the beginning.
So
more so than airspeed and all the rest of the top teams at the time.
We could talk about this for hours, so let me just ask you one last question quickly. Why did you do only one round at the NSL Championship? I forgot.
That I don't remember. That I can't tell you. I'm not sure. It was a long time ago, Kurt. I think about that. That is 23.
Maybe Gary knows. Maybe Gary knows.
Do you remember why we only did one round?
Yeah, I can have a good guess. You did one round and you were so far ahead that you thought, that's it, we're going home.
That was it. We don't have to go anymore.
It was an experiment. Can we win the 10-round competition with a score for one round, kind of?
Exactly.
No, we would have had to have done more like 4 or 5. Let's not be ridiculous.
So Gary, you were at the same event with Optic Nerve. So give us, in a nutshell, an overview of the Optic Nerve project.
Well, of course, that was with the late Dr. Joel Sugar, fantastic man. And I think he's in your profiles as well. And I think he put so much back into the sport at the time like he had come across from Arizona. He'd been working with airspeed, you know, to get him up to speed. And of course, they started training more for the World Championship. So I think through Dan, BC, and Jack, they put them onto hooked him up with Solly and I. And kind of that was the beginning of the Optic Nerve start together with Scott Keeler. And of course, we competed against you guys, the Taiwise guys. And I think it was a great camaraderie, and the doctor kind of blossomed through the whole thing, you know. But yeah, I cannot remember that exact meet. But if I look at the scoreboard with the fours and that, I'm quite happy to forget it, you know. So,
the NSL eventually did.
I had to look at the picture to see if I was actually participating in that, because I can't ever remember scoring 4. But it's on the board, so who knows?
The NSL eventually dedicated the America's Cup trophies and named them the Sugar Cup. You know, once when the NSL took over the America's Cup events, we got the trophies too, the biggest trophies in the history of the sport. And we renamed them to the Sugar Cup trophy.
Yeah.
In memory of Joel. Yeah, David, what did you do in 1998?
I was in a team, and I think in 10 rounds we were capable of doing 5 average.
Yeah.
Joey, there you go. Your 21 point would have been almost enough for David's team.
Almost enough, yes.
No, I don't think we were capable of winning a World Cup yet, but 5 average was for us not so bad. I think where we came from is like we did very well for 5 average. So I would say to everybody else, hang on. You can always reach the top.
Yeah, true.
So David, this month you will meet with your friends of the ISC FAI committee.
Yeah.
Online, I think, which was supposed to take place in Bucharest, Romania.
Yeah.
And we will hear more of what is going to happen in 2021, 2022, and so forth. David is an ISC delegate for Belgium, and you will be there at the meeting. Any preview of this? Do we know already? Yep.
Yeah, I mean, well, it will be held, and it starts now this Saturday and Sunday, the meetings, the open meetings, and then the plenary will be held next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, it's going to be interesting because nobody is allowed to travel, and it's going to be something new, and why not keep it for the future? I mean, always cost saving and time less consuming, so it's not bad to have it like this, I think. But yeah, what to expect? I think in the indoor skydiving, not so much. There are some competitions that we need to reschedule, re-talk about, and look at what bids are coming in. And then for the outdoor, there's a little bit of a clash with the Mondial, and then for next year the Eloy World Championship. So I think it's hard to say what will happen, but I think yeah, looking for the future, I only can see what will happen in 2 weeks. So I don't know next week. Everything will be settled after the plenary.
There's also an outdoor World Cup actually that is in limbo at this point in time. So a decision will come for that too, I guess.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know what will happen. I think every nation has its vote and his right to speak. What looks best for him, and then eventually the plenary will vote what will happen for the near future. It's not going to be easy unless there's only one easy solution, is actually to clean the calendars for the next few years and actually restart. I think that is an option, but we're not there yet. Still a lot of negotiation needs to happen before that can actually come out of the meeting. But
there's also
it's only one option, of course.
There's also the Indoor World Meet that is also officially only rescheduled. So we're here. And does anybody? I would not have proposal for a solution for that. Does anybody have an idea how it could be done, should be done yet?
No, I think like just like I said, like the easiest, cleanest solution actually would just wipe out the calendar and then give everybody else the option to bid again, and then the plenary can see if your bid is still accepted, yes or no. But that is only one option. And on the rules section, I would say there is nothing to be expected. So no blocks coming up, or no new rules are in the pipeline. So I think 2020 was a really steady year of nothing happened. So it would be stupid to change drastically.
The biggest question is probably still Tanai 2020 in August 2021. Well,
I can't imagine it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't have a strong feeling that it's going to happen with everything, the way things are going. And most of my teams have canceled stuff till the end of March.
Yeah.
Till the end of March, we've canceled stuff. Just no point in trying to make plans that we keep canceling. And I just don't see the travel opening up and all those things. Countries maybe it happens, but it won't be attended very, very strongly. I can't imagine, because maybe your top teams will go, but a lot of the middle teams, I think, they haven't been training. They were worried about travel. Who wants to go to Russia and quarantine and risk getting in trouble? And how can you take that much time off work for regular everyday jumper out there, having to go quarantine somewhere before the time on either end is really debilitating as far as financially and work and all that stuff. It's just.
No, I fully agree. I cannot say too much because I do not want to influence my fellow.
Yeah, you're in the court there.
For example, because Gary before already mentioned it as well. I mean, for my team, we were expecting to go to Dubai in February, but that got canceled because of the army doesn't allow us to travel. So eventually, that's another gap that we're not able to train, nor in Belgium, nor in Europe. Also, our wind tunnels are still closed, and so since September we haven't met with each other, and it doesn't look like we will meet each other for the next couple of months. So just like Joey says, like everything looks like end of February, beginning of March, until we are even capable of thinking of restarting again. So we're kind of in a down. Like for a top level team like ours, we're kind of like on the bottom part of feeling great.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the FAI, I see they have sanctioned the Dubai event already, right? So that is taking place. I mean, do you have any news for us as of that today?
I think they can still make a decision until the 15th of January, when all the payments come in. Then they can really see how many teams and people are coming to the championship, and they can still decide because of Corona to continue, yes or no. But I know for myself, I know that airspeed is not going, and that Hayabusa is already not going. So yeah, it's for me it's really devastating not to be going, because it kind of hurts the competition level, my competition, or being the competitor. We all felt very down with it, and but it is what it is, and our employer pays our monthly wage, so we kind of need to listen to them as well and make sure that we do not make any stupid mistakes, because we're still leading by example, and it will be hard if you give any food or ammunition to somebody to shoot the team down in situations like these. So we're very careful with that.
Mm-hmm. And on top of that, going back to Joey, with Tanai 2020, 2000 in August this year, on top of all the troubles that we already have with the COVID, there's also the doping issue that is out in the cloud somewhere. I don't know. I'm staying out of the politics of the whole thing and whatever's going on there, but that brings additional difficulties.
I think if Russia was appointed to organize a world championship, they were still allowed to do that. The thing is now, if it gets postponed again, or I don't know what will happen, then is that rule still applied, yes or no? So I think the top level persons of the board, they know by now what to expect and what the proposition will be. But even for the delegates, I don't know that anybody knows what will happen. So this weekend it will be clarified, I think.
Has any of you ever been checked for doping when you went to a competition? You have.
Yeah, CISM,
Yes.
the top teams gets pulled like via a tombola, and then one guy out of the podium, I think, needs to go for the doping control anyway. So I think in the last few years in CISM, I think I already went 3 or 4 times. Yeah,
But never an FAIIC environment.
Well, the Indoor World Championship in Canada had a doping controller. That was in Canada, so it happens. It happens. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think the Germans could, even at sometimes the German nationals in the past, they would do doping control.
Okay.
You know, and that obviously came from the German Federation themselves.
That would be another new topic now, but I guess I'm afraid we have to save this for next time. My question would be, do you think that doping in any way could help actually in our sport to perform better? So that's a question we can just put out there now, and then that could be another discussion probably. But I don't even know if we want to go there.
Well, you know what? For me, I think doping is not so much enhancing, but we just need to be sure that our athletes do not misabuse drugs for their safety. And I think in that way, it's good to have a doping test. But I don't think that some drugs or doping or APO or whatever helps our sport. We just have to be very careful for our athletes that they do not use.
Yeah, I don't think it's as a benefit. There's no drug right now that I've heard of that will benefit the actual skydive itself, except sometimes maybe you might need APO for recovery. You know, there might be drugs that you can make your 12 jumps a day and find that your muscles can recover quicker. And then, of course, then it's unfair to the other athletes. But I agree with Dave. It's more. I think the big thing with doping is actually making it safe for your athletes themselves, that they don't abuse themselves with it.
Good point.
It's going to help with training. I mean, your training, your overall fitness, and all that stuff. People being a little bit stronger and quicker. But I don't think the advantage is that huge as it is in other sports because it's a lot less physical than some other more taxing, endurance exercises and stuff like that. But as far as your training, like Gary said, trying to make 60 jumps in a week, you're gonna be more fit for that. I know you don't want to say that, but that's why every single person that's out there on a bike has been charged and accused of doping, and swimmers and all that. Those kinds of activities, the drugs that help those people would probably also help us in training, be able to go at each day a little stronger, but I don't think the benefits are worth the risks, for sure, not in our sport. Luckily for us, as top athletes, we've never been faced with those decisions like other sports. They get forced into having to make some what might be questionable decisions, whereas luckily in our sport, we haven't had those issues.
If you have the resources to train that hard.
Well, you know what? It's also
Yes.
We're also not an Olympic sport. I mean, to reach a gold medal in the Olympics, sometimes it's out the beast in you, if you understand what I mean. So winning the ultimate gold medal is sometimes very challenging as an athlete, and then you look for different options to make yourself better. And I think in one way, it's nice that we're not that top level. That we're very good in our sport, but it's not mediatized as for example cycling.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you really want to make 100 jumps a week, you need some money for that or resources. But anyhow, so let's move. We have covered already. We haven't even started yet. It's probably the first hour is already gone, I guess, and we haven't.
You have bad questions. You're asking the wrong questions.
I know. It's always I fall away. I get sidetracked and talk about this and talk about that. And then, but that's, I like that because there are so many interesting things to talk about. Why would you not? You know, so we're not limited to anything here. I mean, if we don't want to talk about the engineering, fine, let's talk about something else. But,
well, we can always come back in another week and do another one. And
yeah, exactly,
Tomorrow,
yeah.
we've got the time.
Yeah, for Gary, it's easy.
yeah.
Yeah, Gary's like, can we talk tomorrow, guys?
Yeah. Anybody can call me. I'll be in the same place,
All right, so we have covered the past. Let's go to the present now. And last time, one of the last times when we discussed the NSL Cloud Mondial, the previous one, the topic came up about engineering continuity plans and so forth with the dive pool, because somebody brought it up that it looks like the moving speed, the energy input and all that kind of stuff is not really so different apparently as it was, for instance, in 2010. So I was looking at the videos actually of 2010 and posted them. You may have seen them to give people a possibility, an opportunity to compare it. And then the theory was that the progression of the scoring level that we have seen ever since is more caused by something else, not by energy, not by speed. It's caused by better, broader engineering, continuity plans, and so forth. So that's a topic, and the actual topic. And let's talk about this. And we have a perfect opportunity for that because we have discussed the previous competition draw of the Cloud Mondial already in length. So we don't have to do this, but we can take the next one that Gary called difficult or whatever, you know, not fast, and talk about this topic because I find it very interesting. Did you yourself already compare videos, looked at this one, looked at that one, and find something that you could see there?
I don't look back to the past. I only look forward to the future. No, I haven't looked at it. No, I haven't looked at it.
Kurt, what I could go with also is
I will if you.
Sorry.
I can. We could look at it. We could look at it. We could take.
Go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, Gary. I gotta.
Well,
you know, what I was going to say is just remember that. I mean, from the year 2000 to the year 2010, the flying styles changed, and then also from 2010 until now, your top teams have also they fly better, they fly cleaner. So yes, there is more pace for sure. Teams do fly quicker, and there's no doubt that the sport has changed, especially the flying styles, the way that people are picking grips and they're going in between points has changed dramatically from for example, when I was competing. So it's one of those that if you ever get into the tunnel with the top teams, you'll notice how light they are, how fast that they are flying, light on grips, and it's quick and it's very little momentum. Of course, we spoke about it, but where did that come from? I think also wind tunnels have definitely helped. Getting into a wind tunnel with rigs on has definitely made a big difference. And then, yes, the wind tunnel, I think, has also helped the engineering because you can get in there and you can look at one jump 4 different ways if you want to. And eventually people start to get used to of course, the A slots, but then it becomes B slots, C slots, D slots on certain randoms, on certain blocks. We even train sometimes with different piece partners. And the more you do it, eventually it becomes more familiar. So I think, yes, the wind tunnels have been huge in helping the engineering and helping your engineering choices, because people, especially nowadays, become way more familiar with. I look at a jump and I go, I don't think they're going to be happy with this engineering, but they take it and they execute it, very well, meaning that they're comfortable with that style or in that slot.
I'm sure that Joey and David, you're eager to fill in what Gary just said. We are watching airspeed in 2010, actually. We're going to look at the French team in a second.
That's in Russia, right?
That's in Russia in 2010. Yeah. So this is all speed material here. So let's go and look at actually the French team who won that competition. Let me switch here quickly to here's France in 2010, and then Joey and David, you can feed into what we just heard from Gary about.
Joey, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I would just agree with Gary with the wind tunnel and the familiarity that there's chances to just be so much more. And it's a culture now of expanded engineering and a mindset that's come more into everyday place. Whereas in 2010, it was just starting to get weird a little bit. And I think now it's almost become normal for these guys. So there's some pretty loose stuff going on out there right now. There's some French flying for sure.
Yeah, but of course, it is as of what we see these days, it's different. But what interested me most of all was what we talked about earlier, which was the energy input, the speed and of the individual moving and the pieces and all that kind of stuff. So that's besides the precision. So the thesis is, the speed and energy input was already there. I mean, to a certain extent, and the improvements came by just having better techniques, better engineering, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think getting better at technique is, of course, one of the main reasons why the jumps in the presence look much more smoother to look at. If you kind of look at the French now, definitely they have the speed, but it doesn't look like they could keep it for hours and hours or days and days. I think in the presence, everything is more flat, more closer with each other, so that you have to travel less distances. And the wind tunnel, of course, helps so much with it. It's also one of the reasons why, if you can be in the tunnel so much, at a certain moment you get your A slot, you get your B slots, and then you start experimenting, like what Gary also said, like with flying with different piece partners, or looking it in the mirror. But you need to be able to do that also mentally, because you can do it in training, but at a certain moment you also need to put that in a championship, and then also trust yourself that you're capable of doing that. And I think the future will point out if you are capable of not only thinking about your A and your B slot, but actually broaden up your continuity plan. It only makes your next move shorter, but it will generate a lot more thinking and trusting. And I haven't seen that yet. In the wind tunnel, it's easy. Outdoor, it still gives you that kind of a hold back. There's a little bit of a hold back, because I think we had some difficult 18s, some difficult ones in the past, but we never really used it. So, but I think the first team that will come up with that generates you a smaller or a closer transition into the next point. But it's a risk for sure. And when it goes on full speed, can you also mentally keep it in your brain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
sorry,
no, Gary, you go ahead.
To add on to what Dave goes there, that goes, unfortunately, for me, the big difference sometimes, and when you see good tunnel teams, and they're not always that good in free fall, because in tunnel, you've got that time that you can go and do 4 or 5 hours in 4 or 5 days, but you're never going to get that jump number wise. You're never going to go and make 100, 200 jumps. Some teams only make that in a season. And so in that sense, there's the big difference sometimes between tunnel and free fall, because you need the repetition, as Dave says, in free fall. You cannot go and do 18s with not your partners or without rigs on, and not in free fall, because it's so different in the wind tunnel. So it definitely makes a difference sometimes, tunnel and free fall.
Yeah, and looking at the videos now, it is, I mean, so far I have not even studied it so carefully, but I have to say, I almost feel it is somehow really true, because if I look at airspeed these days or Hayabusa these days, okay, Hayabusa is unprecedented with the random transitions, because the holding times, nobody has as short of holding times as Hayabusa is so far. But other than that, the moving, the energy and all that stuff, I feel like, between airspeed and France, it doesn't look much different compared to now. And that it only is, everything looks so much cleaner and easier.
Yeah, I think that's the big difference, is that for sure here they were putting in the same amount of energy, but as Dave and Joe picked up, also it's not efficient. It's not always efficient energy, but we didn't know any better. But that was 11 years ago. So right now you have that same energy, but it's better controlled, it's better stopped, the distances are shorter. And that goes to, if we think of airspeed in the last meet they did in Arizona, the way that those guys were flying was phenomenal. There was some very good random work, very well stopped, very, very quick. So, there's a big difference between airspeed 2021 and airspeed 2010, 2010.
Yeah. It's difficult to beat that speed and energy input that the French team is showing here. I guess we all agree with that. All right.
Yeah,
well, it's
but it's good that you say it, because at a certain moment when you look at those jumps, let's say you're in September 2010 and your season restarts again, and then you have an example of a team that just made 27.8, I think, or 27.9, and at a certain moment you need to think, okay, how can I beat this? I know that the French team at that moment stopped, so there was like a little bit of a vacuum coming up. But eventually, when you need to restart the season and you look at jumps like these and you think, okay, if this is the summit, how do you get from your level to that level, and even surpass it? And then you start breaking down every movement, every small detail, every block technique, and then eventually you come up with, okay, it needs to be as fast, but we need to make less distance, and we need to make sure that we fly cleaner and flatter. So at a certain moment, somebody opens the door of a new level, everybody else sees it, and then according to the breakdown or the debriefing of that championship, you will see that the next level will be set. Okay, now it took a long time, from 2010 until 2012, I think. It took a long time. It was only 2 years. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, you just once one team surpasses a level, it's sometimes nice for the breakdown to see what can you even make better to start winning from them.
So that's become more scientific too. Is that right? Kind of, dissecting everything more than in the past.
There's also the mental. I mean, like the 4-minute mile kind of thing. If we go back to the past in 2020, we did a 20-point average with FX, and then right after that, everybody did it. Like the next day, the Norgies and the Brits and all the. So it was only airspeed in the French, and then FX we did it like on the dot. And our next competition was a 19 average. But just the fact, I think, that we did it, everybody did it the next week. The next competition, the Norgies, the Brits, all these other teams are doing a 20-point average. So I think there's a mental side. Once one team does it, the other teams look at it and go, well, hey, if they can do it, we can do it. And everybody's, there's that kind of a block in there.
Yeah. Which
gets opened by the first team that goes and, says, wait a minute, we can go do this.
Yeah. That was my point as well.
Many reasons, and we are finding out piece by piece. And I guess it sounds like everything. I mean, it was a good start. The thought, why is it actually, and putting a little bit butter on the bread and explaining what it is, and makes it easier for everybody to understand, and I appreciate that. There's probably way more, but I really also want to get to this direct example. So let's look now at the competition draw actually that we have for this month. And maybe you can give us some examples for that. Now let's walk me 2010.
That's the old draw.
Yeah, let's go to the new draw. So here is a new draw for.
That's Joey. Oh.
Yeah, January 4. So
Yeah.
So we had, especially in the past, the world champions, the continuity plans that we had. Maybe you can talk about this a little bit too. They were very strict. I mean, I remember some of the earlier airspeed lineups. It was really like a religion. Even if you would detect some potentially faster transitions from one formation to the next one, they would say, no, we are doing what our continuity plan says and what we have practiced. It's the familiarity, which is more important, and they stuck with it and won, over and over again. That seems to have changed a little bit, or not really. I mean, the continuity plan has changed at least. Not sticking to it or not, or how is it? Give us some insights of that.
I mean, that early airspeed, that was familiarity all the way. That's what they preached. They're like, you're going to be quicker if you're familiar. But they were also the first ones to really nail down a really strict continuity plan. Now we're going way back in the past. But they were one of the first teams to really get hard-lined with it, and that familiarity paid off for them. But like talking about Schmitty said, with the advent of the wind tunnel, we've been able to get away from that and be familiar with more things. Somebody else can.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think what as a coach you would sit and you'd obviously hopefully you'd know the team and you've been through training with them, and when you come into a competition, if I look at that draw on the first round, I mean you're going to go, there's not too much there that you can change. You can maybe from the 10 there's two different ways you can build the 22, but it's one of those that in general, you have to, in your meet, basically go back to where airspeed went to. You've got to go with what you're familiar with. But as Joey pointed out, in your training, we try and branch away from that as much as possible. So eventually, when you get to the meet, your familiarity has actually grown. You've got more options that you can choose.
And that probably also came with the winter.
The Russians are actually a very good example, because sometimes in the Russian engineering, you think like, where is that coming from? Why would they take it? And for them, it's just like, we have it. Why not? So for example, why does a tail have to turn a cat? Why is an inside center not turning that cat? Because then B-slot is turning that cat. So why is he not capable of turning, for example, the tail slot in the 10, the inside center? So at a certain moment, you come up with ideas. If you allow it to, you come up with ideas, and at a certain moment when you start training, you also need to recognize, but how many times is that coming up? Do you really need to invest that time in your money and in your training outdoors so that you can use it? Because sometimes it's a nice idea, but it only comes up with one certain transition. And is it then really beneficial to train it so much? Because you need to master that move, because otherwise it's just a normal move. I mean, you need to master it if you want to put it into your championship. And I think if everything works out well, unless you're behind or you need to make like a certain risk and it comes up in round 9 and 10, then it's an option. Hey, we're behind, we want to catch up. We have this in our continuity plan. Let's do it. But if you're in the top, if you're leading and you have it, and you still would not say, hey, let's just use it, because the normal stuff is still good enough. You understand what I mean? It's like the scale is sometimes very hard to make that balance of what is continuity.
Joey was shaking his head.
Well, no, when you're winning, you definitely don't want to try to pull those stuff out, because you can only lose. Yeah. But what Dave's saying, it's like a return on investment. Like, how much am I going to invest in this move? and what am I going to get out of it? What are the odds? And you got to start breaking down, what are the odds of this combination coming up? And you get out your calculators and all that sort of stuff. And how many jumps am I going to have to put into this to make it good? And if you have to put a higher percentage of your training, then the percentage of chance that it's going to come up in competition, it's not worth doing. Does that make sense? Like you can weigh it out pretty easy. If it's going to take 10% of my training to figure this out, but it only has a 5% chance of coming up in the draw, then it's probably not worth my time to do, because I'm having to invest more of my percentage of training for a smaller possible chance of using it. If I try to put numbers on it, does that,
like for example,
that made sense or not? But
Joey, like for example, block 9. Everybody's it's such an individual move, and eventually you can do compressed or the tail. You can do compressed or the cat, and still everybody in the whole world takes the back piece for the cat and the front piece for that compressed. Why is that? We train it a lot of times, and inside center together with the point, and the outside center together with the tail, and eventually it almost never comes up. And they were just talking about a simple block 9 sevens. Why is that piece partner your tail, inside center tail, and why is that inside center not together with your point? In the whole world, it's just universal, but it is there. Just
but it does. It does. Go ahead, Smitty.
No, I was going to say the block 9, and sometimes it depends. Of course, there are some scenarios where it would be good to partner switch, as we call it. You go with a different partner, but for the majority, you're ending up with your partner and in a compressed on the front pair, or in a cat on the back pair, or coming from a cat. So I kind of see that favors at 75%, but I hear Dave's point is it's a case of if you have enough training and you've got all the other 22 blocks down, the standard that you feel comfortable with, then you can start experimenting and say, why don't we turn block 7 with, different partners? But then as you come closer to a meet, it's a case of when last did you do that one? And of course, if they're all good, if we all turn well, be it an airspeed or style turners, and everyone's turning well, then you can say we can take this. And then to add on, it's as Joey said, it depends how much risk you're prepared to put into it. In a meet on round 1, I wouldn't do it, and if you're winning the meet, then for sure you don't need to do it. It's just a case of if it gives you that little bit of edge that you save time, would you take the risk and do it?
Return on investment. So then the other thing is what David was saying, that the whole world is doing it in a certain way. I guess one answer to that is probably also because it's actually the coaches, the handful or the 2 handful of popular coaches who are spreading certain continuity plans that everybody else is following.
I mean, the dive pool leads you in a certain way. I mean, there's a reason that most teams do it this way, and it's because the dive pool naturally does have continuity. There are things that become familiar and patterns that repeat themselves that you can follow. It's those breaks that we're talking about. But the culture of continuity has changed since we started. Gary and I, anyway, for sure. Dave as well, but he was not quite
young boy
level back then. He was doing that 5 average. But the culture, it used to be, the Russians, they were doing this crazy stuff. But I think the culture has changed where I've got I got low-level teams that are doing weird kind of stuff, AA teams that are taking multiple randoms and stuff. So now and I'm teaching, whereas before you would never think about a team doing less than a 15 average. You would never think about having multiple random formations. Yeah. But now it's pretty normal. You go to Poland and you've got those Speak out there coaching single A teams doing Z adders and stuff. I'm like, what the heck is that? Yeah. But they're pulling it off, because here's a single A category team taking a Z adder. I mean, we wouldn't take that for a long time. Yeah. But the culture's changed because of, so that helps as well. Like the 4-minute mile thing. And once it's been broken, everybody's like, well, hey, let's go. So.
Yeah, you can train the visuals in the tunnel. The tunnel has made a difference in so many ways, even if it's very different compared to free fall still. The continuity plan you can extend and see some stuff at least, even if it flies differently, but you get the visuals.
Yeah, the walls help you get away with some things that you couldn't do with that level of a team outdoors. But anyway.
So let's just take a few examples and get really concrete here. Let's begin. Let's take round one. That's 11, 10, 22. The blocks usually don't give you any options, but what kind of options would there be for different kinds of engineering if we compare 2010 to now? I think in 2010 everybody would have probably done it the same way. 11, 10, 22. What kind of options do we have at this point in time?
I think Gary wanted to start that because I think you already brought it up, Gary.
Yeah, well, it's just the finish of the 10 to the 22. It's you either take a standard build or you take a rotational build, if you call it that, and that gets you back out of memory. So whoever finishes on the tail of the block 10, the front pair, the front piece, goes up to the point, and then you get out of memory on it. But I don't think you gain or lose much, except that you get one engineering is going to get you out of memory on it.
Well, that would be something that you would probably already see in 2010. Let's call it a swing move to get out of the memory, I guess.
Yeah,
but Hayabusa did that move a lot from that into that 22.
Yeah. But yeah.
Because you had Dennis in there and Andy were really small and quick. You guys used to back in a lot.
For example, if you have
from satellite.
Yeah, if you have, for example, a D22, then they will put themselves in, because the D into the D
and already guys did it from an O
shaped. The O, the E, you can already shape. It's already almost 22 shape alike. But for the inside center, sometimes that knee is bothering you. You need to get around the knee to pick up that outside arm to start the 22. It's a tricky engineering. But the fact that Dennis is so small, let's say, it made it sometimes easy, compact. Yeah, it made it something easy. You just have to remind yourself, I need to get that arm. The leg is easy, but the arm is sometimes tricky.
So that is actually
that would be the
Gary?
trick with that. That would be the trick slot. Would actually be Dave's slot, the inside center slot, on the build of the 22.
So that is actually already different by now, because body shapes, play a role and are being calculated in the formula. So there is already, even in round one, there is already something that may have been an option in 2010, but maybe not. But now it surely is an option, depending on the details of each team. Let's go. Maybe there would be other sequences where it becomes more obvious. Let's go to the sequence for round two, which is 16 HD8. How would you, what would you,
I see that one straight standard.
Straight up.
Nothing spectacular.
As a memory, of course.
Yeah, straight.
Everybody would take the memory. Okay, then let's go to round 3, 13, 5F. Anything there?
What's that?
The F shape.
You can still play around with that 13, like with the inside center starting with the point and the outside center starting with the tail. You can have that 13 as well to get yourself easier into the 5. But in general, I think a standard 13 will be better. But it's an option. If you're very good in 13s, that's definitely an option.
Round 4, A92.
Inside center first out and outside center first out as well.
Yeah, you just shape that 9 so that it arrives in a 2.
Yeah, Kurt, on this draw, I mean, this is the round 3, 4, 5, 6, and even 7. That's the nice part of the draw. The flow is good. The scores will be higher here for sure. But round 4, A92. That's, I mean, for me, all standard with the 9s, with the, as Dave says, inside the outside centers facing in on the start.
I mean, round 6, you're going to see some different stuff probably from top teams to more traditional middle of the road. Your there'll be some differences between your 18 average teams and your 27 average teams, I would guess.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of options in there. You've got multiple Bs, you've got short 19, long 19, you've got Gs, two different 7s. You got a lot of options, but I think it's long B, side body 7, standard 19 probably from that going to a G, but
Yeah.
But comparing
Or-
this, comparing to 2010, airspeed would have the traditional 19, the traditional 7, the traditional G. The Russians may have had the Russian Ketaccord, I guess, possibly.
airspeed would probably take the side body 7s. They like that side body 7, and going to, then you have the long B, and the 19 is better because the standard B is on this axis and the 19 is on that axis, and you'd like to keep the B and the 19 on the same axes. You don't want to go 7 B 19. It's too much movement.
Yeah.
But
So the B option was already there in 2010 for the top teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to round 7. Maybe there's nothing in this one. Well, we'll see. We are moving along. Round 7 with
standard L.
Yeah,
Standard
the
L.
whole thing, the 17 it finishes round, the O is round, the L will be round in 21. And so it will be, I think, standard L because you go in with your piece partner on the 21.
Yeah.
Which one is the standard L? Not everybody, they are all kind of
outside center is the top of the snake.
Yeah. And then the only big, it's also a fast jump. The only big move is from the 21 finish to the 17. That's if you can nail that move, then the rest of the jump is actually pretty quick.
That's your crux move for sure.
Yeah.
Round 8, you've got, this is one where you would see different engineerings probably, because I would prefer the other N with the point on the top. I love that going to a 6.
Yeah.
But I know, what would you guys do?
It's doable from the 1 for sure, but the back piece would have to watch out the momentum on to get from that N to, from the 1 finish to the N. But it works the same way for the front pair. There's a lot of work if you take a standard N.
Yeah, it's a big outside center into the N and back out, and then you got to make that move.
So it will be a case of if you can finish that 1 and then get the tail to come in onto the end, because the point's already facing out. It's quite, you're just basically switching the back piece, the side bodies from the 1 to the end. So
that non-standard end goes pretty nice to a 6.
Yeah.
So that is actually a good example for that, because those options would not be even considered in 2010.
No, you also did not have that block 1. Huh? But I think the N you had, I think you had
N we had,
the 6. Yeah. So that N is okay.
Yeah, and in 2001, it would have been traditional probably anyway, because block 1 was snowflake offset, right?
Yeah.
And yes, it was. I think snowflake offset.
Snowflake box in the beginning.
Snowflake box,
maybe.
Snowflake offset, yeah.
So you would have to have the traditional N anyway.
Yeah.
Probably, I mean, the A1. Let's move on. Round 9.
This is what Dave said. There's different options here. So Dave, you can run with that one if you want.
I think it would be nice if the inside center rotates the outside center as a piece in the 20. That gives you the easier transition into the 12, and also because of doing that, you would also rotate differently with your point, so that he's already facing the compressed at the end. So not a hop over, but actually a cogging 12.
The mirrored cog.
Yeah.
So the pieces are together.
The best start of the 12.
But a lot of teams would do the other 20, because 20 is a technical block, and not everybody has that cogging mirrored 20.
Yeah. Exactly. I think even Rhythm did that. I think you were at that meet, Joey, or where Rhythm they won the U.S. Nationals, and then they went to the World Cup in Eloy.
Yes.
And that had a mirrored 20 in it, and they didn't take it. And airspeed clubbed them on that jump.
Yeah. Yes, we talked
So
about that. I think.
so up until recently, yeah, and it was spoken about that rhythm. We're not comfortable with that mirrored 20, but I'm sure they have it now.
All right,
Yes,
more
let's hope
examples are coming there. Good. So interesting. Round 10, 18-4-3.
Also, it looks like a straight standard jump, but it's gonna be creating some difficulties for Hayabusa if they would ever do it. I think we would already have to jump off the plane with a non-standard 18 block. So inside center would rotate with the point, and the outside center would rotate with the tail. So that's already different compared to a left-hand continuity plan. And
But
then
you have that already in your continuity
oh
plan.
yeah, we were forced to have it.
Because of the exit.
Yeah, because of the exit. The other exit does not work at all.
Oh,
So we were
yeah.
forced to do that. And then because of that 18 into the 4, there is an option, of course, of keeping the inside center in the start of the 4 as well.
I would take the non-standard 3 out of the 4. Short 4, non-standard 3. It's better to the 18.
Yeah.
Standard 3 to 18 is very long.
Yeah, for the left-hand continuity, for sure. I think that would be the most efficient. Short 4 into a non-standard 3.
And
if
it's
you
quicker.
had this non-standard 3 in your repertoire, which they didn't have in 2010,
Yeah, but now I think all teams.
I mean, we
options,
did it. We did it in 2002 at the World Cup with Magic. We actually won the meet because of that jump. Because the French didn't have it. The French didn't have it, and we did, and we won by like 5 points on one jump, and we only won the meet by 2 points, I think. So it was that jump that it was D34, I believe.
Wow, I'll look it up later. Maybe you have a video.
Yeah. Us against the French in airspeed. You should have three examples because that was a very well contested. You had airspeed, the French, and Magic there, so it was a fun competition.
You're talking about the World Cup in '98, or which?
2002, Spain.
Let me write that down. World Cup 2002.
Round 4, I think.
Round 4, D35, yeah.
Out of a total. The judges were.
Yeah. Bruno Brocken.
Every jump they remember. It's just ridiculous. Unbelievable. Okay, let's do round 11. What do we have there?
Standard.
15 CKA.
Standard.
Yeah.
Standard.
Yeah. That's the jump. That's the jump you wish was round 1.
Yeah.
That should be round 1.
Exactly.
It's a good place to start a competition right there.
Or round 5, I guess. 5 or 11. Yeah. Well, so I'm really sorry about that, but it looks like, all the slot switching blocks, they're all in all different sequences again, as it looks. And I feel bad, I mean, it's a competition draw, so everybody does the same thing. So I don't know why sometimes people say, it's just a slow draw again. How do you feel about that?
It's easy, Kurt. You have to look at the computer and then you just push the enter button one more time.
Yeah.
And then again.
I don't like this. Refresh. I don't like this either. This is not good.
I mean, that's not me, as you know.
No, you know what? We have to. In fact, when you're training and you do a draw like you have to, you take it because you learn more from a draw like this. That's actually more technical than one that's just a blazing. Everything works,
I mean,
I would totally agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. It's a tough draw. I mean, you've got a lot of blocks out the door. I think 8 of 11 rounds are all blocks out the door. I don't have the draw in front of me anymore, but it's definitely going to hit your score by just having those blocks out the door. So hard to get started at speed with blocks, whereas a top team can come out of the door and hit a random sequence pretty hard, but it's hard to come out and just fire your top block time out the door. You lose a lot more time with the block as you do to randoms when they're out the door.
Yeah, absolutely. 8 out of 11. So that's pretty significant,
Looks like the previous cloud draw.
Similar to that, Well, next time we do it live, we're going to do a live manual draw. So that would be fun to do. Next time we're meeting, we'll do it on Zoom here, live manual draw.
Okay, old school.
You need to have a judge. If you really want to do it live, you need to have one judge. and the judge would have to pull it. An innocent
Okay.
hand.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay,
I'm
there's the rules guy over there.
yeah. No, I'm gonna invite a judge.
Claire and Dirk.
Yeah. So somebody will do it manually on while we are doing this this talk. So then, you know, I will not be found guilty of the competition laws, of those miserable competition laws any longer.
Okay.
All right, guys, let's just leave it there because if not, I mean, again, we could drag it out for many hours. It is so much
Gary has
fun and
time.
interesting.
Gary has time. He can still be here.
I'm gonna.
I have two
I need to go
waiting in the
outside.
room, but Gary has
See
time.
that? I need to.
Oh,
I need to
nice.
go out.
Beautiful.
Nice.
I need to go outside. It's sunny and warm, and it's a beautiful day. So
Enjoy it. Enjoy it. I'm sitting in this room.
Well, Gary, you and I, we will continue for a few more hours, but
Yeah.
no, I'm just kidding. You know, I don't think the audience will stay with us for that long. But so, oh gosh, I should have turned this off here. Oh, no.
That
All
sounds
right.
like a cow
All right.
outside Joe's,
Sounds like
outside Joe's window.
In his room.
Yeah, it is actually a cow.
Oh no.
As you know.
Maybe the guy from Eloy can donate you a new telephone cover. The guy who
Well,
hooked you up with your computer.
What's wrong with my telephone cover? Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm gonna ask him. Yeah, maybe he can put a cow on my computer too. Right.
What a funny story.
What a funny story. Okay, guys, thank you very much. It was very entertaining and very interesting and fun to do. And well, we'll do it again, hopefully as soon as possible when we have some videos again. So I'm hopeful at least to have something, whether this will happen or not, but at least it may. You know, some countries are open for training or for jumping or tunneling.
yes, Sweden is open. I have a tunnel camp at the end of the month. So Sweden is still operating. I've got tunnel there, but that's the only place I've got any work scheduled. Everything else is shut down. France and Germany and everybody. So
we will see. By the end of the month, 31st of January is the deadline. Then we have something or not, or we have little or a lot. We will find out very soon.
Yeah.
okay.
In the meantime,
Thanks,
hang in
Kurt.
there. Be well. Do good work.
Thanks, Kurt. Thanks, guys.
I have to change a diaper now, so talk to you guys.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.